personal. Jerry is hurt. That Zeke was hurt. They're in their feelings in Big D. Could this really be a problem? We've got a lot of questions. Thankfully, we've got a lot of answers as we get up with you starting right now on this Wednesday from New York. Delighted to have you with us. Rutledge is back. Marcus Spears is here. Mr. T is here. We got a lot. And Mr. T, that's what he's known as because he was the first choice. Little known fact, he was actually the first choice to play Clubber Lang in Rocky 3, and then that fell through. So
wow, we're going at it early here.
Fire. It was Parcells who first called you Mr. T, right?
And he called me a lot worse than that. But we'll stick with that.
We should have been in our meeting this morning. Anyway, all that and a whole lot. If you're looking for trash talk right now, the place to find it is Cleveland. Boy, do they have a lot to say. Baker Mayfield making headlines off the field yesterday. In an interview released by GQ, Mayfield expressed his surprise that the Giants took quarterback Daniel Jones with the 6th overall pick. Here is what he was quoted as saying in GQ. "I cannot believe the Giants took Daniel Jones. Blows my mind. Some people overthink it. That's where people go wrong. They forget you've got to win." Now, that was everywhere yesterday, and people were kind of losing their minds that he'd be commenting on another team's quarterback. So Baker Mayfield then went on Instagram and clarified. Here's what he wrote. "This is not what I said, just so we're clear. I also said I was surprised I got drafted number 1. Then was talking about the flaws in evaluating quarterbacks, where I brought up winning being important. Reporters and media will do anything to come up with a clickbait story. Heard nothing but good things and wish nothing but the best for Daniel." So that was the Baker Mayfield stuff yesterday. But wait, there's more. Odell Beckham Jr. also making off-the-field headlines. In a story about the Browns in Sports Illustrated, Odell talked about what he felt was the Giants' motivation for trading him to Cleveland during the offseason. And here's the quote in SI. "This wasn't no business move. This was personal. They thought they'd send me here to die." Okay, boy, is there a lot to unpack in all of this. Here's Dan Graziano.
I think Dan's Cleveland.
Dan's face is all of us this morning. The Browns have done a lot of talking, to say the very least, this offseason. You were at their camp last week. What are you hearing from their coaches and their players about the attitudes and personalities on this team?
Well, everybody there likes Odell Beckham and they like Baker Mayfield, but, they're talking about what's going on internally. Like, I talked to head coach Freddie Kitchens, and he said about Baker Mayfield's leadership style, he said that's kind of a work in progress, but fundamentally people like to be dealt with honestly, and Baker's always going to be honest with you, whether it's something you want to hear or not. Again, now he's talking about how Baker deals with his teammates. Now, when it goes outside the building, that's when it becomes this whole issue. And so I talked to somebody with that organization last night, and I asked about Baker Mayfield, and he said, look, Baker is still carrying with him all the negative stuff about himself that he heard pre-draft. Too short, offense won't translate, didn't get enough starts, etc. And all he knows is, I did a lot of winning in college. So what he's trying to say is, people underrate the importance of winning college football games when they evaluate quarterbacks in the draft, and he points to Daniel Jones, who had a losing record at Duke. So I guess you can see what he's saying, and personally I'm kind of here for it because I like when people give honest answers and say how they really feel, but it does set up a potential problem if they don't win as many games as people think and hope they might win right away.
Yeah. All right, Dan, stay with me because we have a few other things we're going to come back to you on. But let me take this to the table. Swegu, look, you have the most expressive face in the business, and I can see it. Go. What do you make of all this?
Keep the man's name out your damn mouth. That's number one. There's a history of this with Baker Mayfield. And when we were talking this morning, I don't know where he gets this pass from. Like, this is not the NFL that I grew up in, that I've grown accustomed to, where code is, if you don't have something good to say about somebody, don't say anything at all. Don't insinuate that Daniel Jones shouldn't have been drafted number 6. Let us do that. We talk about it here on television. But you have to play in this league. And a lot of, from the Duke Johnson situation, when he dealt with Hugh Jackson, everything that Baker Mayfield has said about somebody else has been negative when we bring these stories to light. And Daniel Jones is just another one of these bodies that he's laying all across the board. Now, here's the deal. Like Dan G said, if you don't win, bruh, it's coming hotter and heavier than this ever came for any player because you done set yourself up for this.
Yeah, I agree. And there's two different things here. On the field, he's a really good player. We worked him out. We were prepared to draft him in the Dolphins. He was the first pick. Sometimes he has to remind himself, hey, you were the first pick. You earned it. With that said, there's a great expression, Coach Parcells. I'm not saying you're guilty, but certain irrefutable facts keep locating themselves in your proximity. Like you said, it goes back to Texas Tech. He transferred there. He had bad things to say about Texas Tech. Duke Johnson. Now he's talking about Daniel Jones. You know how many games he's beaten teams with a winning record? 1. Go concentrate on being great in 2019 with the Cleveland Browns. Everything else takes care of itself. And he doesn't. I totally agree with what Marcus said. It's irrelevant about what he thinks about Daniel Jones.
You made a point in the morning meeting today that I'd love you to bring here, and that is that there's a level of earning a right to do certain things in this league, and that he's not there yet.
100%. Again, he has to establish himself as a winning starting quarterback in the NFL. The trajectory is great there. They're going in the right direction, but he has to earn it. They have to do it on the field first. The expectations are enormous, Greeny, as you mentioned. And if they don't do well, this could really end badly and quickly for them.
Listen, there's a part of me to what Dan Graziano said. Listen, I'm in the interesting business. I like interesting things happening. So I'm here for all of this to that degree. But if I'm rooting for this heavily, my one big concern is who is the veteran presence in that building that is capable of sort of getting his arms around all of this? Because the first-time head coach, you made the point he was a running backs coach a year ago.
You don't have to bring that up.
Yeah.
Baker is the leader. Yeah. He's the all-knowing, all-seeing player on this team. Nobody has publicly bashed him for talking about other. When the Duke Johnson situation went down, we heard that veterans went to Baker Mayfield. That's an opportunity for a coach to come out and say, nah, we don't want Baker talking about other dudes' contract situations and what they want to do with their career. Like, they've given this dude the biggest pass in NFL history to just go out and do what he wants to do and say what he wants to say. I agree with you, Mike T. Like, he is a really good player. He did some really good things, but he ain't earned the right yet to start speaking on other dudes' careers.
And when you look at guys like Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, the task at hand is to get your team ready to go, not to inflame other situations. Yeah. They have their work cut out for them this year.
I'm with you. And that's why I opened the show this morning in the tease, which I said, is this the team of the future? Because that is the question. Our past, all of us who have been around this for a long time, that's the way we expect our quarterbacks to be. Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady. Put your head down, do your work, never say anything inflammatory. But is that the future? What I'm saying is Baker Mayfield the first of what is going to be the future in the NFL?
No.
Of a new generation of guys, grew up on social media and are willing to say stuff?
Nope. I have to believe that these young players respect the overlaying code that has always supposedly been the NFL, is that you respect guys, and if you don't, you keep it private. Look, nobody's telling Baker Mayfield not to be himself.
Right.
We telling Baker Mayfield to keep other dudes' name out your mouth.
I get it. And are there defensive players that are going to have it in for him as a result of this?
Right now, they circling Cleveland on the calendar.
Agree. There's a time and a place. Like, you could be in a locker room and say, hey, can you believe what Team X or Y did? There's a time and a place to say it. Not publicly. Worry about your own team first.
Okay, that is just the first of what are many very interesting stories around the NFL. Good morning, Laura. Let's pick it up.